Let's vote in. Voltus 5 Legacy coming soon on GMA 7. This announcement truly brought back a lot of good memories for Gen Xers like me. I still could remember watching Voltus 5, Mazinger Z, Daimos with my Gonzalo Building neighbors after school from Mondays to Fridays. And why do we like watching TV series like this or superhero movies? That's because no matter what the obstacle or hardship, the good guys will keep on fighting until they win the battle, overcoming evil with good. That, my friends, is what resilience is all about. The 3 tips I'm going to share will help you become a more resilient individual. So what is resilience? It's the ability to survive a crisis and thrive in a world of uncertainty. And that's the world where we live now. Now there's a new variant of the coronavirus. More than 2 million have already died worldwide. Makati Shangri-La announced that it has to temporarily close. In times like this, we need to be all the more resilient. Moreover, resilient refers to the ability to cope with pressures, trials, and failures. So my first point is turn crisis into opportunities. And you can do this by changing the way you think. I've already talked about that in one of my videos called Changing Your Perspective. So when life gives you lemon, make it into a lemonade, right? Then, besides changing the way you think, talk to positive people. People who would encourage us to say, yeah, we can do it. And listening to inspirational videos or testimonies would also help us. Simon Sinek talked about a pizza parlor owner who was already losing money because less people are ordering pizza. He had a brilliant idea afterwards. He thought of using his pizza ovens to make face shields. So he was able to adapt and of course solve the problem. And I also talk about that in one of my videos about the 4 soft skills that we need to develop to have personal and professional success. And one notable person who turned crisis into opportunity was the late Mr. Washington SyCip. I read his book and he said, and I quote, "I founded SGV in 1946 when most of Manila was still in ruins as a result of the World War II. While many only saw the devastation, I saw potential for reconstruction not only of the buildings but of Philippine business and Filipino lives." So only at the age of 24, he founded SyCip and Company in Juan Luna Street, Binondo. It started out as a one-man operation and later evolved in the company we know as SGV, SyCip, Gores, Velayo and Company. And over 70 years later, SGV is still the leading professional service firm in the country with 9 offices nationwide. He's also the founder of AIM, Asian Institute of Management, because he knew the importance of training future leaders. He also supported thousands of underprivileged kids. So resilience is turning crisis into opportunity and persistently pursuing goals despite obstacles. Let me share with you the story behind this one. Happy toothpaste. After graduating from Ateneo with a degree in BS Management, Dr. Cecilio Pedro, he borrowed 20,000 pesos from his dad and started Aluminum Containers Incorporated. They would supply collapsible aluminum toothpaste tubes to Colgate Palmolive, Procter & Gamble, and Philippine Refining Company. But in 1985, because of environmental concerns, these big companies decided not to use aluminum anymore, but plastic laminated toothpaste tubes, forcing him to close his business that year. His resilience can be seen when he started his own company called Lamoyan Corporation. It's named after his paternal grandmother, whom he loved and looked up to, and he also introduced their family to Christianity. He knew it was not easy contending against well-known and international brands, and yet he developed his own brand of toothpaste, and that's Happy. He sold them at a lower price in smaller packs like sachets. They developed fruity flavors, especially for the kids, and now They even came up with organic products like this disinfectant spray that I bought from them when I went to speak in their company's seminar. So being a devout Christian, the company's motto is to make a difference for the glory of God. That's why they also employed hearing impaired people. His wife, Mrs. Irene Pedro, from this picture you can see that when we went to Palawan Hope Christian High School to give talks, she even learned sign language. And they founded the Deaf Evangelistic Alliance Foundation to provide scholarship for the deaf community. And last year, they donated 3 million worth of hygiene products for Kilusang Contra Kuto. They've already been doing this for 5 years. My second point is turn failures into stepping stones. Someone once said that what successful people have in common is that all of them have encountered failures. To fail is okay as long as you don't let it paralyze you. Reflect on what went wrong. Be humble enough and admit and learn from it. That way, you can use that particular failure into a stepping stone, whether to move in the same direction or maybe another one. We also need to have the discernment to know whether it's time to admit that this road is not cut out for you. For instance, I started at YGC Student Fellowship as a PRO, Public Relations Officer. And then eventually they promoted me to Secretary, Vice President, and then to President. After trying being a president for 1 year, I realized it's not my gift. I don't like to follow up on people or to reprimand them when they make mistakes. So I already begged off, but they said, no, it's only 1 year, you try to do it again. So I give it another try. But after the second year, I realized that it's really not my forte. So I told them, I really don't need the title. I'm happy to be a PRO forever. So it doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It's just that I realized that where I'm good at. And one person who encountered a lot of failures and yet succeed was Jack Ma, whose real name actually was it's Ma Yin. He's China's richest man in 2020 with a net worth of $65 billion US dollars. He's the founder of the e-commerce Alibaba. He grew up poor in Hangzhou. He failed his primary examinations twice, his middle school examinations thrice, and he failed his college entrance exam twice before being accepted at Hangzhou Normal University. He applied and got rejected by Harvard University 10 times. He failed to land a job after applying 30 times. He said when KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, first came to China, 24 people applied for a job. Only he did not get a job. And he said that it's probably because of his not so good looks and short stature. His wife, Chang Ying, who married him when he was not yet rich, said, Ma Yin is not a handsome man, but I fell for him because he can do a lot of things handsome men cannot do. And out of the 5 people who applied for a job in the police force, he was the only one who got rejected after being told, no, you're no good. So eventually he found a job as an English teacher. He taught there for 5 years, and he said that initially his salary was only $12 a month. That's around 600 pesos a month. Think about that. That's where he started. Then he ventured into business. It failed twice. His first exposure to the internet was in 1995 when he visited as a translator. And the first thing he searched on the internet was the word beer. And he was surprised to see that there were beer businesses in Japan, US, Germany, but none in China. So after he returned to China, he persuaded 17 of his friends to invest and join him in starting an e-commerce business, which they called Alibaba. And yet they did not succeed at first. For the first 3 years, they did not earn any money and they nearly went bankrupt. But he persisted and he said, if you don't give up, you still have a chance. Giving up is the greatest failure. And because he did not give up, he is now China's richest man. And my third point is turn trials into triumphs. Resilient people cope with problems in life in such a way that they can come up victorious. My friends, all of us are adversely affected by the pandemic. You might have lost your job, business, or worst, a loved one. And yet I urge all of you to trust in the God who willingly gave up his life for us, and that is Jesus Christ. and claim His promise in Romans 8:28 that He would work everything out for good. Listen to my two younger brothers' testimony to know that indeed He worked everything out for good. I'll start with Jerry, the one who came after me. Jerry started his life as an OFW in Taiwan in 1995. He had to go there after graduating from college because my mom suffered a stroke. Our family savings were all gone, so he has also to help our parents financially. He went there with only 3,000 NT given by Uncle Tino and Auntie Carmen. Look at their pictures. They not only help us in that way, but they also provided us a place to rent at a very affordable price. So thank you, Uncle Tino and Auntie Carmen, for all the help. But the problem is, Jerry, when he went there, he doesn't have a working visa nor a Taiwan ID. So he has to come home every 4 months. It's hard to find a job without a working visa. So he went back. And by then, he was able to find a job as a factory worker. So he tried it out. 4 months passed, he has to come home again. And then another time he went, he had to sell stuff in the streets. So he said he wanted to give up a lot of times. And yet, with God's help, with the help of the Bible, and the help of the Christian brothers and sisters at the home of Christ, he was able to survive. And he would also share how his pastor, Reverend Joseph Chua, would often invite him to his home for meals, knowing that Jerry was jobless and had no money. But God is good. Because Jerry was resilient and he persisted, eventually he landed a job in MSI Microstar International, and he's now with Western Digital. He's able to help my parents throughout all these years, and in Taiwan he also met Ors, whom he eventually married, and he used his own money for his marriage. And they're blessed with 2 sons, JJ and OJ, as you can see from all of these beautiful pictures, and they're now actively serving God at home of Christ. And I'd also like to have a special shout out to Or's sister, Joan, and her husband, David Huang. Because without them, my 2 brothers won't be able to get their Taiwan ID. And thank you, David and Joan, for your hospitality whenever we get the chance to go to Taiwan. And next will be Jackson's testimony. Jackson also went to Taiwan upon graduating from college. He didn't need to undergo all the hardship that Jerry went through because Jerry was able to endorse him, and Jackson immediately started at MSI. But his struggles are different. He said he can converse in basic Mandarin, but there are a lot of computer and technical terms that he has to learn. And he would do this by conversing with his office mates, overcome his shyness just to ask. So now, my 2 younger brothers can speak, read, and write in fluent Mandarin. In fact, the funny thing is, when Jackson gave me a laptop for my doctoral studies, the Microsoft Office is in Mandarin. Oh, that's so hard. Jackson said he had to fight loneliness at first because he only knew a few people in Taiwan. And then his office mates don't mingle with each other during weekends. So he said he read books, magazines, attended small group and worship service, and praying for God's guidance also helped a lot during those times. Eventually, he had more and more friends, and now he's a choir member at Grace Baptist Church, and he also helps in supporting my parents. Because of his job, he gets to travel extensively. Look at these pictures. He was sent to Europe, US, so it was work with pleasure. And he also loved the Philippines. So whenever he comes to visit my parents once a year, he would choose a place to go. Let's say Palawan. And in this picture, I'd like to show you when we went to Legazpi. We'd also like to thank the late Uncle Pik Sun for giving us a lot of wonderful memories. He will always be in our hearts. He took us to see Mayon Volcano, and he jokingly said, if you're a bad person, you won't be able to see the peak of Mayon Volcano. It's a good thing if you look at this picture, we could see the peak. And then he asked his son-in-law Kelvin to drive us all the way to eat DJC Halo Halo. And then thanks to the Ong family, thanks to Auntie Arlinda, Eunice, Eugene, Ces for treating us out. So we had a grand time. Thank you for the Ong family for that. And next I would like to feature is Virginia Lorenzo, or known as Ate Gingging. I met her at an EE clinic, Evangelism Explosion Clinic, more than 20 years ago. She has the heart to evangelize. She also helps in outreach program and Sunday school in Alliance Church. But you can see from her picture that her limbs are not complete. She was born like that. It's because her mom tried to abort her. After giving birth to her, her parents separated and none of them wanted her. So they abandoned her. It's good that there's a relative who took care of her. But she was bullied growing up and she became very bitter. It was only when she came to know Jesus that her life started to change, that she found hope. So she was able to forgive those who have hurt her. And with the help of a lot of people, she was able to graduate from college. Many of us helped her. But the problem is, she can't find a job. So she tried to think of another way. She took some educational units, but she failed the licensure exam for teachers several times. So for her to survive, she started selling things. And then she joined a livelihood program. She learned how to make dishwashing soap, and she started selling them last January 2020, only at 35 pesos each. You can order from her through Facebook or to the number that we're gonna put on below. And she wants me to thank all the people who have helped her throughout all these years. Another inspirational story would be from Marilou Deniega. She's a visual artist on a wheelchair. She was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at the age of 3 months. She can't move her head, but with her grandparents' support and therapy, she was able to speak and move her hands. And she realized she has artistic talent when she won a competition in 1997. You can check and buy her products in this link below. She now teaches PWD people how to paint. She's also an office staff in the Persons with Disability Affairs Office in Cainta, Rizal. And she represented the Philippines in Thailand's ASEAN Para Games, playing boccia. Boccia is a precision ball sport, especially for the PWDs. And she met her husband, Alan, at Tahanang Walang Hagdanan, and they also have a son. She was able to purchase her dream home in Accessville Neighborhood Association in Cainta, Rizal. It's an inclusive community for the deaf, blind, and those with disabilities. Actually, the value was supposed to be 8,000 per square meter, but the lot owner eventually lowered the price to 3,800 per square meter because these people have disabilities. Her story is also featured in RightJobs brochure. My husband Hans is now spearheading this HR recruitment and job placement agency, that's RightJobs. And what makes RightJobs stand out is that they would also like to link competent workers from disadvantaged groups, like from the PWDs, the tribe people, the skilled out of youth, so that they would also be able to find jobs. So in case you need employees, you need competent ones, or you're looking for a job, you can contact my husband Hans with this number. We're also going to put it in our link below. So may the lives of the resilient people that I shared in this video inspire you to turn crises into opportunities, turn failures into stepping stones, and turn trials into triumphs. And would like to especially thank a generous couple who gave us a new laptop so that our video editor, David Huang, can continue to enhance the quality of our videos. Thank you very much. And I'd also like to thank Roland Jean de la Cruz and the Hamster Guy for supporting us. See you all next Friday and stay safe.